because it felt like a Christmas miracle.
Hey folks, April Reigne here, and yet with another gift from the wonderful Doxes, also known as Candace Owens, Myth of the Coon, and Red Pill Black. Let's jump right in, shall we?
Yesterday, I was sitting in the train station in Philadelphia. I was in 30th Street Station, and I totally, my Amtrak got delayed, so I went to sit in the cafe area by myself. I was sitting down, and a younger black man came up to me, maybe like in his early 30s, and he said, "Excuse me." There was no one sitting at my table. There were 2 extra chairs. He said, "Excuse me, may I sit to ask you a question? Like, may I please ask you a question?" And obviously, me in the back of my head, I'm like, this guy's going to try to come up with some slick way to hit on me.
Wow, we don't have an inflated ego about ourselves, do we?
But he was like, "I don't want to bother you, like, at all, so it's okay if you say no. I really have a question I want to ask." And I looked at him, and it just felt different. Like, I just was like, okay, this guy has a lot of sincerity in his face, and I wonder what this is about. So he sits down next to me. I say, "Sure." And he said, "I am not homeless. I genuinely need you to believe that I am not homeless, and I am asking you this not because I'm homeless, but because I'm just in need." I said, "Okay, let's get to the punchline." So I looked at him. I believed in a second that he wasn't actually homeless.
In a second, you believed he wasn't homeless, but you're waiting for the punchline.
There was a sense of, like, humility in his eyes.
I find it ironic that you use humility in this video when describing someone, but you clearly have no humility yourself. In fact, there are many times where I thought you could eat a little humble pie, except you probably don't know how to bake it. But in this video, we're going to see how you really lack humility and basic human decency.
Charlie always says the eyes are the window to the soul, and I really believe that if you look at someone's eyes, you can always tell their intentions, if they're good, if they're bad.
First, Charlie is definitely not the first to come up with, "The eyes are the window to the soul." And second of all, you should become a little more self-aware, because we see the window through your eyes to see your intentions, and there are so many of us who recognize the con artist and real liberal that you are.
And there was just, I don't know, such genuine heart that I was seeing come out of him and through his eyes. And he said, I'm just here trying to raise $29 so I can renew my ID. And he said, "I've raised $11 so far. I just need $29 to be able to renew it. You know, I've been working, contracting, doing some work for a company, lugging junk and helping people move. The company, because I've done such good work, wants to offer me a full-time job, but all I have is my expired ID, and they said they can't accept it, and they can't bring me on to work for them in a long-term official capacity unless I have ID." Okay. So first I said to him, first question I asked, what's the name of the company? And he instantly said, the company's name is J-Dog. It's located in Wynwood, Pennsylvania, blah, 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 blah. So I said to him, "Why don't you have an ID?" And he said, "I don't have an ID because," and then he kind of looked down. He said, "Look, I'm going to be really honest with you. I got out of prison. I spent some time locked up 4 months ago, and I'm just looking for an opportunity. I didn't think to have my ID renewed, while I was in prison. I didn't think, that's the last thing that was on my mind. But, I got out, and they gave me an opportunity to do some light work, and now they're giving me an opportunity to get a job, and all I want is an opportunity to work. And if I can get this $29, they'll give me a job."
You actually sat there and asked him a question where the answer was obvious. The reason he doesn't have ID, Candace, is because he doesn't have the money. Thinking of asking questions, did you bother asking him what he went to prison for? I doubt it. Otherwise, you would have told us that because you tell us everything else about him. Let's continue.
I instantly looked, sometimes you just know when someone's telling the truth, and I just knew that he was telling the truth, so I was like, all right, watch my stuff. I went to the ATM, and I took out $40, and I told him, "Keep a change."
So you're virtue signaling that you gave him $40, even though he only needed $29, and for him to keep the change like some little peasant serving you. Nice job, Candace.
"And I hope you get the job." And because I live in the Wynwood, Pennsylvania area, I said, "Do you have a card or something that I can contact with you? And because I'll also, when you do get the job, I will use you to move, because I'm moving in a month or whatever." So he gives me the card, and here it is. I don't know if you guys can see it. J-Dog. And on the back of it, which is really amazing, he said, it says Veteran Opportunity. And I said, "Okay, cool. I'll call you. I'll call and I'll get in touch with your manager when I want to hire you." And he said, "Oh, if you don't mind, put in a good word or say that I did a past thing for you, but don't tell him that I was here asking for $29. I didn't promise that I wouldn't do that.
Of course you wouldn't promise to do such a thing. You're looking for an opportunity because you're an opportunist. Now let's think about this for a second. He's asking you to please not tell his boss that he's walking around town asking people for money. That's not only embarrassing for him and could be grounds for being fired, but it is emasculating. But the chance to virtue signal like the true liberal that you are and brag about the things you're going to do for this guy and dox him on top of it is just too much for you to pass up on.
So as soon as he left, I was so touched by it. I literally had tears in my eyes because I just, I don't know, just obviously you guys know I've been lobbying for the First Step Back, to have this person come up to me and say that all he wants is an opportunity.
You had tears in your eyes. Oh, isn't that touching? And this was such an amazing opportunity that you knew instantly that you were going to make sure you were going to take every advantage of this opportunity to virtue signal and possibly have this man lose the opportunity that he wanted. Great job, Candace.
Felt really amazing. So I called this company yesterday. You guys can call it too. And I wanted to see if his story checked out. He told me his name is Michael Miller.
Knowing your personal background on doxing, especially when it comes to social autopsy, and how it took the left and the right to get you to take down the doxing website, I know it felt really amazing for you to once again be able to dox someone, which you just did. Not only did he ask you to please not tell his boss that he's walking around town asking for money, but now you are putting his name and his place of work and the fact that he's an ex-con out there for the entire world. Not only that, you just outed the company itself, because on their card it says that they give veterans an opportunity. Now, I don't know if this guy's a veteran or not, but I know he's an ex-con, and as a moving company, that's a huge liability. Especially if I am thinking I'm hiring a company that is hiring veterans, not ex-cons, to move my personal belongings. You just put their business at risk as well.
So I called the J-Dog Junk Removal and Hauling Company in Philadelphia, and I asked to speak to a manager, and the entire story was true. So here's what we are doing. I got into contact with all of my 12 Black influencers for the Blexit movement, and I shared with them the story immediately as it was happening.
Back up just one second. Your Blexit movement, huh? I do recall that the real Blexit, which you can find on Twitter at Blexit, M as in Mary, N as in Nancy, gave you a cease and desist. Apparently you don't appreciate the law or have any integrity whatsoever. It wouldn't have been hard for you to figure out there's already a Blexit out there. But no, you want what you want. And damn it, nobody's going to get in your way. Not even the law. Typical friggin' liberal.
As soon as I got on the train, I just said this unbelievable moment, because we all had just lobbied for the First Step Back, and this happened yesterday evening. And I said, I want to get something together for this guy. I want to do more. I feel like here's, $29, but what else does he need? He wants an opportunity. He's not, asking for handouts. So
technically, yes, he was asking for handouts because he didn't offer to do anything for you for the $29. Second of all, that wasn't the only thing he was asking for. He asked you to not tell his boss he's walking around asking for money. He asked you to not emasculate him. He asked you to keep things private. But you couldn't. No, you wouldn't do such a thing because you're in it for the fame and fortune. You needed something to say, look at me again, America. Look at what a good person I am. When people do something good for others, they usually don't broadcast it to the entire world. But that's what you do. Why? Because you are a narcissist.
We decided that we are going to put together like a gift basket, like a first step. We're happy for you for pursuing opportunities. We're going to buy him work boots since he works for a junk lugging company. We're going to buy him work gloves since he works for this J-Dog company. And we're going to buy him sneakers. We just try to think of everything possible.
Look, America. Look how good we are. We're going to buy him boots and sneakers and gloves, all because he works for this place. He's an ex-con. We don't even know if he's a veteran, but who cares? Because we're lobbying for blacks to be free from prison, even the ones who were guilty of violent crimes. If anyone watched the video of her talking to Ted Cruz, he kept saying, you're not excluding violent crimes. You're not excluding these people. Oh, yes, we are. What crimes are you talking about? He actually pointed it out to her. He wasn't the only one who pointed this out to her. Tommy Lauren also pointed this out to her. She doesn't care. Why? She wants what she wants. She wants that fame. She wants that fortune. She wants you to get out of her way. And she doesn't give a damn who she hurts in the meantime.
Okay.
Now, this bill is a different bill than that one,
right.
and this bill has moved in the right direction.
Right.
So I want to get to yes. Our staff is working on a proposed amendment to draw a line and to exclude violent crime, to focus on nonviolent drug offenses. You know, my view, listen, if someone gets busted for possession of pot, that's a very different thing than if someone is a violent criminal. And what I don't want to be is releasing violent criminals, murderers and rapists and people who have committed violent crime. I spent too many years working in law enforcement and dealing with really bad actors to want to release violent criminals.
Right, but they're excluded.
Some are, some are not. So I want to get to yes. I hope I can get to yes.
You know, all of these, because all of this, a lot of it feels like fear-mongering, because I'd understand if we were like, we're recreating the wheel, we don't know if it's going to work. This is why he brought up Brooke Rollins. Doug Deason, they have done this, they've spearheaded this, we've seen it work. You guys are closing down prisons in Texas. I was like shocked to see you on the maybe list. I was like, what? He is from the great state that did this right the first time, saved $3 billion over the last decade.
There is a difference. I have visited with too many families of people whose kids were killed. I'm not interested in releasing murderers and rapists. I'm just not.
No,
and I'm not going to look a mom in the eyes and do that. Right now it doesn't do that. I hope we can get there. But some of the one where I'm quite comfortable lifting mandatory minimums, and that's very different from if someone commits a crime of violence.
Right. But the crime of violence is it's excluded. They wouldn't be.
But there are a bunch of them that are not excluded.
Which ones?
It's piecemeal.
Which ones?
This gives us a chance to finally say to ourselves, look, as a Republican Party, we wrote the wrong that the Clintons came in and did.
And I'm all for it when it comes to nonviolent crimes. But
which violent crimes are on there?
There's 50, listen, there's some of them not.
Carjacking is not included. Aircraft piracy, drive-by shootings are not included. Threats against the president are not included. Genocide is not included. Rioting in a correctional facility is not included. Transportation of minors for illegal sexual activity is not included. These are not hard to add.
Right.
That's why I'm working.
So that's what you're suggesting, just adding those
particular. But you know, if we don't get done in 2 weeks, you know it's not going to get done.
Do you believe that? Do you believe if we don't get it done in 2 weeks, it's going to get done?
He knows that. He knows that. He's been doing
this
long enough to know that.
We're definitely not going to get the credit.
So for someone who's lobbying for some type of action, you would think she would know which violent crimes were not included in the bill. She kept asking for it, so either she really didn't know, which means she didn't do her homework, which means at the end of this little clip that I showed you, she doesn't care if nonviolent crimes are included or not. She just wants what she wants. Or she did know which violent crimes weren't included, and, again, didn't care because she wants what she wants. And to hell with those in her community who were victims of these violent criminals.
Mark Lutchman happens to live in Philadelphia. I don't know if you guys follow Mark Lutchman. Oh, a warm coat. What a good idea. That is so good. Thank you. This is why I freaking love the internet. Thank you. All right, let's get him a warm jacket.
Wow. For someone who's lived in the Northeast for most of their adult life, you would think a warm jacket would be the first thing she would think of, but no. Someone on the internet needs to tell her that.
And we're going to do it, like, publicly. He obviously had no idea who I was. His boss, when I called him, knew who I was.
Of course you're going to do this publicly. You're going to make a grand stand about this. I wouldn't expect any less from someone like you. And the fact that you even have to say, his boss knew who I was. You sound like a celebrity when they get pulled over for a DUI, asking the cops, do you know who I am?
And he said it'd be great if you stopped by. We employ a lot of veterans.
Gee, I wonder why they don't advertise that they employ ex-cons.
So we're going to get together a big basket for this guy. I want to donate the kicks. Okay, cool. I'm going to put a link below. I don't know how to do this. But I'm also going to put the name of the bosses that I've been talking to in case any of you guys want to call and just check out the story.
So not only is she bragging about what she's going to do for somebody, and not only did she dox somebody, and not only did she put a company in jeopardy for possibly false advertisement, hiring ex-cons when you think you're going to have veterans come move your stuff, and I'm positive that she didn't ask him what he did to end up in prison. Otherwise, I'm pretty sure she would have told us what he'd done to end up in prison, especially if it had fit the narrative for the First Step program. So here's my questions with that. What if it turns out he was in prison for raping a woman, or molesting a child, or doing a drive-by, or perhaps he actually snitched on some fellow gang members and he's been hiding out from them? Well, now she just put his life at risk because she doxed him. I certainly can't be the only one who sees the various problems with what she's done in this one Periscope of hers, which she published on December 4th, 2018. All right, you guys, there you have it. That's my take. Have a great one.